Yo, what is up everyone, Tachi here. So today we are going to be talking about the new banner which just dropped, and for the first weapon it is going to be the Staff of Curiosity. It is going to come with a job which stats are here. As a typical cleric job, it is just going to be mostly defense and HP, so not a huge deal for pretty much anyone other than vanguards. For the extra, I believe it's 500 HP, so that's pretty decent if you get the Arcana. Other than that, in terms of the staff itself, it is going to be a 1.5 target with RS2. That being said, I don't really think this staff is like amazing. If you're at the point of the game where you still don't have like full 2 target or like full 2 target with 1.5 targets for like 2 or 3 or 4 weapons, whatever it happens to be, because I know there's not that many 2 targets in the game yet. If you're not at that point yet, I do think this weapon is pretty good to get, but if you're like super endgame, I really don't see much of a point in this except for maybe like replacing one of your other 1.5 targets for this one because it has RS2. That's pretty much the only reason you would get this if you're like towards the end game as a cleric already. And I suppose maybe if you still have like a 1 target staff in there somehow for some reason, this might be pretty decent to replace that 1 target staff as well. I've been saying for a while now, at end game or like near end game where you're already at like 200k plus, pretty much the only thing you care about at this point is just save for MLBs. The marginal upgrade that you would get from having an RS2 or a DC2 or whatever inside of your grid, it's not as huge of a difference as if you were to get a DC2 MLB. And for you to get an MLB, it's going to cost you a lot of crystals. So a lot of times, like for example right now this banner, for me, I don't really want to pull on it because even though it is going to be a DC2 spear, which we will talk about later, I don't really get much of an upgrade from running a 0 LB DC2. Like I do get an upgrade, but it's like 1% increase to my overall damage throughout the entire match. And that's just such a lackluster increase that honestly I feel it's better if I were to just save for a month or whatever. And hopefully if there's a step up, there's a step up. If there's not, then I just try and save enough for at least a handful of copies, you know, like 2-3 copies, because a 2LB DC2 would be much more important, much more impactful than just having a 14th DC 0LB weapon in my grid. But anyways, on to the next weapon, which is going to be Harmonies of Movement. It is going to be a magic attack increase to 2 allies. It's not going to do too much in terms of individual M attack boosting, and it is going to come with a weapon repair too, so just helping a little bit in terms of like the attack increase as well. Obviously support boon would be better here, which it will get eventually at LL, which we are not going to get anytime soon, thank God, I hope. But M attack to 2 allies, like we still kind of are in an M attack meta, so I suppose this is not too bad anyways. And if you are building towards a more specialized attack focused grid as a minstrel, I do think that getting weapons like this is going to help you in the long run, even though it does have limited usage. It's not that bad, especially with them releasing the Half Nightmare Minstrel this GC, if I'm not mistaken. This is definitely not a bad item to get, because you are going to want to run 20 instruments if you are running Minstrel Half Nightmare. The next weapon we are going to be talking about is Shatterer, which is going to be an axe. Typical 1.5 targets, decreased physical attack and magical attack, so that definitely means this is going to have very low damage output for an axe. Weapons that always have this here, something after the damage, always have lower ratios in terms of damage multiplier than just typical weapons that just do damage. And it is going to come with another P attack debuff on the Colo Aid skill. It does have pretty decent stats, a little low on the P attack. You can see it has almost 2100 M attack, which is a bit of a shame. That means the balancing here, they definitely could have gone a little bit lower on this M attack and had this at like 2367, which would have been a lot better if you get MLBs of it. But yeah, this weapon's not that great. I probably wouldn't be pulling on this if you happen to be a Crusher main, unless you really need a 20th axe or something. If you just still aren't done with your grid, at that point you just keep pulling until you do get close to 20, and then you start focusing on DC onlys, or if you want, you can also pull for disadvantage weapons as well, shovel basically, which I believe actually already finished the banner, but maybe it'll come back eventually. And the final weapon we're going to be talking about is going to be Toxic Snake Spear. Like I alluded, it is going to be DC2, which honestly kind of sucks for me because the JP version was M defense debuff, and I was looking forward to that. I was like, yeah man, this is going to be a skip banner, and here we are. They gave it DC2, didn't even lower the M attack, so a pretty decent weapon. Unfortunately, that does mean that I'm probably going to end up pulling on it. That just comes down to the fact that I do think I can probably pull out 2 or 3 copies of it between medals and whatnot, just because it is the beginning of the month. I haven't used my medals yet, but it does kind of suck. I will try to save because I'm already reaching the point where I really don't get much of an upgrade from just having a level 15 DC2 in my grid. Like, it's really negligible. I would much rather have higher M attack, and unfortunately all the weapons that these are replacing are going to be 1 and 2 LB non-DC weapons. So that is to say, I have weapons that are level 100 with no DC, so they have like 19 to 2100 M attack, which is higher than 1781, and I lose M attack but I gain DC, which evens out or gives me a slight bonus in damage. Towards the later end of the DC grind, once I'm around 16 to 17 DC weapons, I'm probably going to reach the point where I literally cannot pull for just a 0 LB. I have to pull for at least 2 LB, otherwise it's legit not worth it. I would lose damage on it. But anyways guys, that is going to be the end of this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. For now though, I am out. Have a nice day.